Welcome to our introductory video on how to make the wedge pipe. This is intended for those of you that have purchased or are considering purchasing the wedge pipe kit from our Etsy site at Paleolithic Pipes. The kit contains an instruction sheet, reference to this video so you can actually do the work while watching the video. It contains the beeswax for polishing, the pre-drilled blank in a nice quality soapstone, and wet sandpaper, and it includes brass screens for inserting inside the bowl. It comes with a carrying case, and additionally these hemp sacks can be used for polishing, as we'll display at the end of the video. So I hope you enjoy this instruction. If you would like to leave some feedback, please contact me at paleolithic_pipes@yahoo.com. Thank you, and now let's begin. Hello, I'm Terry Harlow, and I enjoy carving and shaping soapstone. I have a store on Etsy called Paleolithic Pipes, and today we're going to share with you how we make the basic wedge pipe. We have a pre-sawn piece of soapstone from which we draw out the shape of our new pipe, and we cut it in the bandsaw, which I'll display momentarily. From here we end up with a piece like this. From here we'll show you how we drill the bowls and we drill the draw. The next step beyond this is filing, sanding, and finishing, each of which we'll display in this video. So we'll begin now by drawing out the shape on our larger block and cutting this in the bandsaw. Let me show. This is a standard bandsaw. It runs on 14-inch wheels. The only difference you'd find when we use it for stone is that the blade is a skip tooth blade, which allows for the removal of more material. The heat from the saw process is actually absorbed by the stone. That's one of the characteristics of soapstone. So the blade itself doesn't get terribly warm. Mark up the pipe where the holes are going to be drawn. So I'll make an X here, and I'll make an X here. The first hole I'll drill will be for the bowl, and for that I use 1/3 of an inch. In this case these are brass. After I do the 1/3 of an inch, and that'll go down to a depth 2 to 3/8 from the bottom. Then I'll use a 1/2 inch drill to make a larger bowl, and that will go 1/2 inch from the bottom. That'll give me a shelf upon which to place the brass screens that we use. I'll now take this to the drill press. We've preset the stops on the drill. This is with the 1/3 of an inch drill bit. We've preset it so that it can't go any further and completely pierce the pipe. we leave about 1/4 of an inch of stone at the bottom. We'll now change drill bits to the 1/2 inch. We'll check this 1/2 inch bit so that it doesn't go as deeply as the 1/3 of an inch in order to give us a shelf at the bottom upon which to set the screen. For the draw hole, I use a Dremel that's set up on a drill press using an 1/8 of an inch bit. This bit will only go down about 1.5 inches, so this is considered a starter hole. The hole length is going to be closer to 5 inches, and once I've started the hole, it's easier to finish it with a hand drill, which is required to do the extra length. I'll use a Dremel, a wireless Dremel, cordless Dremel, with a 6-inch aircraft bit. This will allow me to penetrate the draw hole. I'll mark on the drill just how far I have to go with a piece of tape. So we have the pilot hole that we drilled with the drill stand, but the throw on a drill stand, at least the ones I have, isn't deep enough in order to actually perform the whole task. So the rest of the job has to be done by hand, and it's done thusly. I leave a bit of tape, like a tail, on here, and that'll blow the dust out and clear it. Successful. All of the edges of the pipe have to be filed down. You have to take any point off, and I'll show you how we do that. Now with a file, I like a 1/2 round, and it's not a rasp. It doesn't have really sharp features. a rasp takes a lot of stuff off in each stroke, but it only catches, it only does the work when you're pushing away. When you're pulling back, the teeth are all going in the wrong direction. So it's an effort from the shoulder. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these lateral edges. Each of those is going to be filed down, anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And then if that makes 2 ridges on the other side, I want to take those ridges off. You want it to be smooth to the hand. Points like these corners here, they'll be filed down, and I'll show you how we do that. So I'll start here on this edge. I work on a piece of carpet that holds the dust being talcum powder. And then I'll do similarly, I'll remove about the same amount of stone on each of the other corners. I find it a very satisfying activity, particularly when you look at the end product. The stone itself, you really can't, you don't see its character until it's polished, which is the last act that you do. Corners you want to round from the top, as well as the bottom. You want to really put a nice smooth surface on your finished product. Take those edges right down. And then if you see any lines, you want to remove the line. I think that might be more comprehensible when you're actually doing the work. But a nice smooth surface comes about when you battle all the lines. Everything is smoothed out. Everything's rounded off. The more time you spend doing this, I think you'll find the more satisfied you'll be with your finished product. On the corners, I'm going to work them in every possible angle. So you've got 1, 2, 3 surfaces on every corner. You got 3 edges coming into that corner, and you want to round each one. Again, if you see a line, erase it with your file. I find natural stone very rewarding to work with. It feels wonderful in the hand. We've just about finished this pipe as far as the stage of filing. It's okay to set it down and come back to and take a whole new look at it if you're of that nature. You can also file later again once you've sanded, but sanding will give you a better final finish. And if you go back to filing, after sanding, you'll have to re-sand at least the portion that you did refile. Now, many people draw increase the size of the bowl even further. That's the personal choice. You can do that by going up to a 3/4 of an inch drill. Always though start with 1/3 of an inch. You'll find that you won't be fracturing your stone. If I went to my largest drill just to begin with, one, I'd lose that shelf I told you about earlier. And secondly, you're more likely to crack the stone if you go with your maximum drill bit initially. So take a little bit out at a time and you'll have a sounder product. I come in with a knife now. You can also do this with sandpaper. And I take that edge off the bowl. I'm going to sand this as well to make it smooth, but I don't like a sharp edge anywhere on a pipe. And your hand, will take to it more. There. My next step is going to be sanding. We use a Tupperware tub filled with warm water. Warm because it's winter here now, and my shop isn't the warmest place in the world. The dog bowl over in the corner is still frozen solid. So I use 180 to a 220 grit wet sandpaper to start. That's my roughest grade. And you'll sand each of these 4 sides and wash it off and start again. Remember to rinse your sandpaper as well. And well, you can do 5-10 minutes aside. And then if you, depending on the stone, you can switch to an even finer grit, and it will give you an even greater polish. Now this stone, right now, in this case, unsanded, isn't really much to look at. But sanding it will actually bring out the character of the stone. This has a nice deep green to it, which you never saw in its gray natural state. There are lots of veins in this particular one. And it's a lovely marble-like surface once you've sanded it down. It becomes glassy. It has to be wet. Now, if I let this dry, it would go back to the gray state. But that's what we do next after sanding, is we actually heat the pipe to 250 degrees. I use a toaster oven. And heat it for about 12 to 15 minutes. And then hold it in with a cloth, and I'll show you this in the video. And then we just apply beeswax to it. And it takes the thinnest coating. And then once the beeswax is applied, you can polish it to a nice shine. So it looks as if the stone does when it's wet. It's a very pretty stone. I think this is Quebec. I'll take a corner of the sandpaper and force it into the bowl and twist it. Now I'm only getting about 180 degrees of a 360 degree surface. So turn the pipe in your hand again and get the other 180. Keep your finger forced in there and apply pressure with the sandpaper. And you get a very nice bowl. Not finished yet, still have to do the end. once you finish sanding, the pipe has a nice feel in the hand. All the corners and the edges. From here, we're going to take it and we're going to heat it up in the toaster oven. And I'll show you that process next. So here's my shopmate taking a break. I come over to my toaster oven and I'm going to set the temperature again at 250. And I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. Let it heat up. At 300 degrees, beeswax will evaporate. It'll turn to vapor. So at 250, it just puts a nice level coating on the sheet. You'll see this as we do that next. I take the pipe out of the oven with a washcloth. Again, it's 250 degrees. Not comfortable in the hand. Take the beeswax and you just coat. Run it back and forth until it's covered. This is a very lovely stone. I take a little bit of wax and I use that to finish inside the bowl. And then let her dry. Now that you've seen the basic steps for creating the wedge pipe, you'll notice that if you purchase the kit, it came with a burlap bag. After you've applied the wax and you've let it cool a bit, you use the plastic bag. Again, it's best on a piece of carpet, but you can polish it this way. Just go back and forth a few times on each of the sides, each of the edges, and you get a beautiful finish from the wax on your pipe. Now this was a basic wedge pipe instructional video. It's intended to go along with our kit, which we sell on our Etsy site at Paleolithic Pipes. Once you've mastered this shape and these processes, you can branch into more advanced pipe design. We have a lot of users of, this is a natural finish on the top edge. That's natural stone, uncarved, unsawn. And it's a rather pretty and it's a well-liked pipe. Among the earliest versions we did were a more traditional type. And we can learn how to do those. In addition, there's a traditional plains pipe, which is takes a lot more time, but it's very rewarding, and depending on the stone you use, it can be quite lovely. This is one of my favorites, and one we just finished this week. You could look at our Etsy site, again at Paleolithic Pipes, and see a large variety of what we offer as finished pipes. In addition to the kits, which come with the pre-drilled blank, you can order at a lower cost undrilled, just blanks, cut to the shape of a pipe. We'll have those on our Etsy site in a week or two. Again, if you have any questions, contact me at paleolithic_pipes@yahoo.com. And thank you.